Hey everybody, it's Amanda. I hope you had a wonderful holiday season, and I hope you enjoy today's episode, which is the very first installment of the Conversation Pit, a brand new series that we are running on our Patreon. It is both an audio and video podcast where we answer all of the questions that we normally don't have time for in after parties about like who we are, how we met, how we like our jobs, what we do for fun, our personal lives, stuff that has nothing to do with D&D and sometimes, yes, also about D&D. So it was incredibly fun to make, and I have great news, which is everybody now today, right after this little message, can listen to the first episode of the Conversation Pit right here on your podcast feed. And if you're already a patron, or if you're like, hey, hell yeah, love this, let me become a patron, there is another brand new Conversation Pit episode waiting for you right now on Patreon. It's out already. So go on over to Patreon. You can get the audio edition at our $5 tier, the video edition at our $10 tier, and enjoy everything that the Conversation Pit has to offer. These have been incredibly fun to record. We go overtime every time because it is just so much fun and I don't want to stop talking. So thank you for enjoying it. Thank you to everybody who makes time and space in their budgets each month to support us on Patreon. We literally couldn't do the show without you. And if this bonus content isn't enough, did you know you can also get ad-free episodes at our $8 tier? You can get access to our Discord at any tier. And hey, we even have a tier where you can play a private one-shot game with the four of us. We have done several of them. They are so much fun to do. You can even pick the game. So check out all of the goodness that we have to offer at patreon.com/jointhepartypod. That's patreon.com/jointhepartypod. We'll see you next week with an after party. And then after that, we have some surprises in store for January. Got hot shit coming, folks. Get ready. All right. Enjoy the episode. Folks, I would like for you to close your eyes, okay?
Okay.
I see you, motherfuckers. Close your eyes. Okay, thank you. We are in a house. There are wide windows. There are wooden beams on the ceiling. Brandon, why are you laughing about wooden beams on the ceiling?
I love wooden beams.
No reason.
No, keep going.
We'll get there. There is a kitchen behind us, and every surface of the kitchen is cream formica. Huh. Look to your left, there's a cute little mid-century modern side table. It's got glassware on it. All the glassware is amber colored. Weird.
Whoa.
You look up, the walls, they're avocado green.
Oh,
You go to the
no.
bathroom. It's carpeted.
Oh,
You
no.
look up, and weirdly, the floor is at eye level because this is the Conversation Pit, baby!
Wow.
Did I have my
Describe-
eyes closed for the longest? Is that what happened?
Yes.
I was
Okay,
looking
great.
down. I wasn't looking at anyone else.
Mhm.
You just
I-
unfortunately described my dad's actual house because he did buy it in the 70s.
Oh,
love
good.
that,
Now I
Brandon.
can ask Brandon. Brandon, did you go in this house?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you feel pressure to not pee on the carpet?
Eric, just unbelievable pressure, yes.
Yes. Yeah. For
Tell me more.
for all the types of people who need to pee standing up,
Yeah.
like it's already for most people who have to do that.
Yes.
It's already a lot of pressure. I don't want to be grouped in with the other people who do this, who are sloppy peers.
Sure.
Right? And now, even though I've never peed on stuff before in my life, I have the extra pressure of, oh, if I mess up, it is now going to be soaked into this shag
I know.
carpeting.
I am no better than the puppy.
Yes, exactly.
I will
Incredible.
I'll start off this intimate revelatory segment with a funny pee on the carpet story if you would like.
Let's go.
Of course.
It's not actually on the carpet, but one of my most core memories that comes up just constantly in my head because of shame and embarrassment
Sure.
was
We all
I
have
used to my friends, my neighborhood friends live down the street. I used to go to their house all the time, and I was 13 maybe, and I didn't know that if people who pee standing up, you should always clean off the seat after you go.
Sure.
Because I was a dumb boy who's an idiot.
Someone at some point has to tell you that.
But this is what I'm saying. A lot of people still don't do this, and now you need to do this.
Yeah.
So you need to like make sure you're not this person.
And like at some point you switch from peeing sitting to not peeing sitting. So like there's a lot of like transition that you have to
Exactly.
do. I get it.
Exactly. So, but the embarrassing part was in the car the next day because we carpooled to school.
No.
The
mom said something.
No.
The mom was like, "Oh yeah, blah 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 blah," and they're like, "All right." They had this rhyme that was like, "If you sprinkle when you tinkle, be a sweetie, wipe the seaty."
That's bad.
That's bad. That is so embarrassing.
I probably was actually a little bit
worst
younger than
age.
13. That seems really stupid for 13, but yeah.
No, it probably was. I'm going with it. You know that family cannot communicate with each other.
Unless it's in a rhyme and they say something like tinky.
So yeah,
That's
that plays in my
real.
head every time I pee standing up.
Brandon, thank you for, in the shag carpeted dome of this conversation pit, sharing that with us.
Yeah, we had
You're
a
welcome.
similar rhyme, which is at the dinner, eat your fill. When grandma dies, we're not arguing about this. We're looking at the will. Yeah, exactly.
Fuck.
Well, folks, welcome into the conversation pit, where we are going to be answering questions about life, what, I don't know, Pokemon, our horoscope is, just making things up right now. Things that we would typically love to talk about, but don't have time to do in the after parties when we are chock-a-block with plot. So we are doing it now. We've gotten so many excellent questions from you patrons on both Patreon, on our Patreon post that I'm going to make every month, but when we record these, and also in the Discord. We're only going to scratch the surface of them. Don't worry, I'm keeping them all in my, let's say, burnt orange ceramic dish, where I'm going to keep, I wore my orange shaggy sweater today, just for the conversation pit. I'm keeping them all, keep them coming, and I am really excited to get started.
Yeah, I was going to say, for anyone who's not watching the video version, anyone who's just listening to the audio, I am in the most beautiful, perfect 70s maroon suit
true.
you've ever seen.
It's true.
Brandon
Wide
has
collar.
so much chest hair is popping out.
Mhm.
Do you think people ever use chest hair merkins?
Yeah,
Oh,
100%.
absolutely.
for
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah,
Brandon
Yeah,
lived in LA. He knew.
yeah.
Dang. All right. Right on.
It's called
Right
a
on.
turkin?
Cheston? Chirp?
Hang
Oh
on.
boy.
No, don't.
What are we doing?
Don't. Hold on, Amanda, the host, is pulled over and is now Googling this. Hold on. I think a merkin is anything that's not on the head. Do you think it's just...
No, it's a pubic wig.
Oh, it's just for... Okay,
It's
sorry.
specifically pubic, yeah.
I thought it was not toupee or wig. That's
I
on...
see.
Hey, that's on me. It's just a sparkling toupee.
Yes.
Clearly
okay.
someone's never worn a turkin.
Great. I do want to point out that the search, the usage trends of the word merkin spike significantly post World War II, and I'm not sure what that means.
I don't know either. You know?
Film? I don't know.
Much like the espresso.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Oh, hey, I want to talk about something that I heard on a podcast. Speaking of espresso, I've been thinking
That's
about
probably
this.
not true.
I know, which is why, because it didn't come up in my previous research.
So you
and-
did a Head Hard Gut episode about espresso-based drinks.
Yeah, if you don't know about Head Hard Gut, it's the one we do for the multi-crew, which is the membership that we have
Hey,
for
sign up
Multitude.
for it.
Yeah, you get,
great.
Yeah, it's really good. We've been doing it for years, and we always argue about which is the best of three things. And we did hot drinks. And I chose espresso, so I did a lot of research into espresso. One of which was, I dove into the Italian Museum of Espresso, which told me a lot. The espresso, it's been around since the turn of the century and only got patented. Then you'd think it's a lot a lot older thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing I heard on a podcast, which he said that he heard from a tour guide in Italy,
Okay.
that Mussolini invented the espresso because he wanted the Italians to be caffeinated but did not want them to laze around.
No.
And I'm like, that's a lie. That's
correct.
obviously a lie.
If you've ever known an Italian or an Argentinian for that matter, they'll make one espresso last for 2 hours. You know that.
Yeah. So it's I heard that and then it came up. I just wanted to share that with everybody.
It
Nah,
was a
dude.
guy. I'm pretty sure it was a guy who he wasn't even a coffee person. He was a machine person. He was
machinist,
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yes, it was
Pressure. of
it was
stuff,
more
yeah.
the espresso was just like an offshoot of coffee culture in that area. But as the Industrial Revolution started, it was the espresso machine what was patented at the turn of the century. And like Mussolini was just like a fascist glint in his father's eye at the time. So I thought that was bullshit, but I thought that all four of us here would appreciate that absolute
What a
Snopes
great
level.
lie.
To be fair, if I were a tour guide, I would entertain myself by telling fun lies.
Yes.
Sure,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
fair.
Yes.
I think that like it had everything of a fake thing you'd hear on the internet, which is like villain of history, vaguely plausible, and like explaining something from a region, like giving a reason to something
Yeah.
that didn't exist. Like this is the mythology. Like
I was
this
going to
is
say,
the
that's just mythology.
this is the creation story, Julia.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Of espressi. This is why, Mussolini is why the sun goes down in one place and rays in the other place.
Yes.
Mussolini
Yeah.
pissed off a bird. Now we have the moon.
That makes sense. That checks out.
That one might not be true, but Mussolini
I
did.
don't know.
Well, he did invent mousse. That's where we get the name mousse.
Oh, that's where it comes from. Yeah.
yeah, like the dessert. I mean, not the animal.
I was
that
going to say
true?
the animal. Or
Yeah.
No.
Are you lying to me?
Yeah.
No, it's a French word. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. All right, Brandon, you're starting. Sneaky Sloths asks, how do you feel about answering personal questions, bitch?
Sneaky Sloths did put bitch at the end of that question, too.
No, they did not. I cannot defame Sneaky Sloths. They asked some great questions, one of which is, how do you feel about answering personal questions? I thought this was a good kickoff.
It's a great kickoff. I feel generally okay with it. I'm pretty much an open book, but sometimes I like to keep little nuggets for myself. But otherwise, I'm pretty much an open book.
Cool.
Fair.
Love that.
How do y'all feel about it?
Let me go last because I
Chill.
think my answer is going to segue into some other questions that I know that we have.
Sure. Chill. I'm cool with that. I talk about a lot of stuff a lot of the time, so it's not weird to be asked a personal question.
Go to South Street Dive and listen to Julia
Not
talk
the
about
name of the
stuff.
bar, but that's fine.
I'm trying. I've
trying.
never.
Eric's
I went
trying
there
not to
one
dox you.
time. I went one time.
no, I
Dox
appreciate
you.
Eric definitely not trying to dox me.
Yeah,
that is
with
one thing we will not be telling is our addresses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did get some questions about our social security numbers, but they were all very, very lighthearted. So.
There were like 16 emote reacts to that, and I'm like, damn dog.
095. No.
Yeah. When Eric and I were getting married and I put my social on the paper, he was like, is that right? I'm like, they don't all start with the same number, baby. And he was like, oh, right. Yeah.
Well,
I
I
didn't
thought it
realize
was in
that
a
either.
row.
Right.
Yeah. You'd
But no,
think.
they assign them from the bottom as people die and they get retired.
Oh. Huh.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
I was
so I
there
have a
with
dead
you.
person social security number. That's cool to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Who do you
have
think
an
it
early
is,
one.
Julia?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Mussolini.
I
you
love
go.
answering personal questions. I love to talk about myself. I think I'm really interesting. I have good opinions. And when people ask me about things I'm interested in, I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, hold my beer. I love it. It's great. I love it.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
The podcasts that we all created, I think we don't get a chance to talk about like ourselves all that much. So especially with Join the Party being like my main one and the one that I did until I started doing ones that like required less fictional creation and actual like running. So I also like answer questions of myself. I feel like I never get them. And it's funny, like, make the whole point of making stuff is that you don't need to be an influencer or whatever that means. Like, you're not selling yourself, you're selling the thing that you make, which is always the thing that I always wanted to do in content creation or whatever. And now, like, I also want to share stuff about myself, but I can't figure out the places to put that. And I also know, like, the dividing line between product and person, especially in podcasting, is important. So, like, you let the parts of you sneak in, which is why we wanted to do the conversation pit in the first place. So I very much want to talk about myself. I just haven't figured out the places to do
Where?
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
For a while there, I think in 2021, I'm like, Amanda, can you ask me a probing question about myself every once in a while?
Well, also, we were talking to no one else.
Yeah, we were talking to
Yeah.
nobody.
Yeah.
So that was certainly helpful.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah.
The question surgeon, Michelle Spurgeon, wanted
Nice.
to know, and of course, her honorific transcends between the after party. It carries,
Of course.
like interest. She wants to know, how did each of you meet each other, and if you want to share about your significant others.
Well, Amanda and I met as 5-year-olds.
Yep. We met
Do you
in
remember-
Kindergarten.
Do you
we met
remember
in
that?
kindergarten.
I don't remember the specific
No.
moment,
Okay.
but I remember that that's a thing that happened to me.
I have lots of memories of Julia with slightly tangled hair and a little dusty running around our playground.
That was right. That was correct.
Julia was like Pigpen for
Not dirty.
I might have said a little dusty.
No, like Julia was just getting in a scrap. Julia bit a kid once. Julia like would threaten to fight someone on the playground if they were bullying someone. And then Julia and I, as we weren't always in the same class because there were like 3 different teachers in our different grades. Would sort of trade off taking out the same library books, including a big like encyclopedic book of Greek mythology. Including one where we like drew and then laminated with Scotch tape our own mythological trading cards.
We did
which
do that.
I wish still existed.
Yeah, me too.
Julia checks out the giant book of mythology, and then a week later, Amanda checks out the same book and opens it, and it's all cut out, and there's just a gun in it.
There was also that, and then a book about dogs that we did the same thing with.
Yeah.
It's like, you'll never learn about Medusa, bitch.
No one else can know about her.
Exactly. This is Julia's career plan forward. Checks Watch, 25 years in the future.
It's where you learn something and then you burn it so no one else gets to learn it.
That's how it works. That's
me
how knowledge
specifically.
works.
So she has to tell me on spirits.
That's true. That's true. I met Brandon. I still fucking remember this. Okay, so the job.
Yeah, it wasn't 25 years ago.
It wasn't 5 years ago. But I met Brandon at this terrible job that we had at a very large media conglomerate. I know
can
it's
say
behind
it.
the paywall.
Sirius XM.
Oh, it's Sirius XM. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you could say it. I can't. I forgot about that. Because you left to go get a better job and I left acrimoniously.
No, I left without a job, Eric, because it was that bad.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. See, yeah. You just didn't have to sign the thing because I got a little bit of money for it. That's right. So we had this terrible, terrible fucking job. It was like, it was supposed to be a podcast discovery program inside of Sirius XM. It was like they had a little startup inside of it, and therefore it was bad and terrible because it was mismanaged, and also we were relatively young. I mean, we were in our late 20s, but they treated us like we were 17, which was the worst.
Cool.
But Brandon is the one who taught me how to edit and record audio because I didn't know how to do it because it was impossible to learn at that time. You had to like go to this one camp where they chose 5 people to go to Vermont and teach you how to record podcasts. And then I had a creative adjacent jobs for a really long time. I had a job at a weather app where I had to write up like little funny jokes that a little cat in a raincoat would tell you the weather.
So it's called Poncho. It's pretty cute.
It's called Poncho. I missed that. I know I gave away the sweatshirt because I didn't want it anymore, but I shouldn't have given it away. And yeah, that's where I met Brandon. I met Brandon because they didn't have anything for me to do for the first week. Apparently there was like a massive hiring push, and I was part of like a big group of people. And I didn't have anything to do, so I just like interviewed everyone in the office, asking them what their jobs were and how they did it. Everyone else was full of shit. But then Brandon had an Adventure Zone bandana that he put up in the makeshift studio we have, and I'm like, oh, I've been listening to that. And then fast forward, Brandon ruins my DM choices all the time.
Cool.
There's a signed post-it that's framed in the office that says, I am your muse.
Oh, wait. Oh, that's a different thing. That was much later. I got to go get it.
That's
Hold
right
on.
there.
Yeah, that's what happens when you fast forward. That's what I mean.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
And I met Eric at NYU. He wrote for the school blog, and we had a professor in common. Twitter was really big. It was 2010. And so one of my professor, my mentor, was like using Twitter as a like discussion tool in class. And so he like maintained a list of like NYU English students like on Twitter, etc. And I basically met Eric through that. Didn't meet him in person for another 3 or 4 years until our eyes met over cheese platter the day of my senior thesis defense when Eric was in his last year of his master's program learning how to teach children. And then was like, oh, free cheese for sure. And I was like, oh, are you Eric from the internet? And he was like, yeah. And then we didn't talk again for another several years until both of us started podcasts.
Yeah.
Wee!
All right, here it is. So you can see in the video version, you can see there's a Post-it here that I made Brandon sign that said, Eric is my muse, and Brandon signed it. It's from March 1st, 2019. This is coming up on like 5 years old.
Wow.
I think that was for Next Stop?
That was the one below it is that if Eric writes an audio sitcom, I, Brandon, will make it. And then we both signed that.
Yeah.
Cool.
That was that. And then at another point I made you, I was probably writing Next Stop at that point too. But then I made you say I was your muse. I didn't date the other one, but I bet these were at similar times.
God, Next Up is so good.
It really
if you
is.
haven't
Really
listened to
good.
it, please go listen to it. I
Yeah.
still think about it often.
So it's an audio sitcom that we made. Us as a fearsome foursome before Julia was the fourth player of Join the Party. And Julia was the assistant director and cast the show. Brandon directed it. Eric wrote it, and I got money and got us enrolled in SAG.
Business did. Man, can we talk about that a little bit? Because that
Yeah.
really kind of disappeared. I don't think we have anything negative to say, but remember where that was? Like, remember where we were set up in January 2020?
Yeah, it was January 2020. Brandon
Yep.
had just built this beautiful studio. We got a bunch of microphones. We casted real film and TV and theater actors from New York, paid SAG dues, got them all in the studio, recorded over the course of a week. It was so much fun. I have so many videos. We still have the bottle of Plan B beer that we opened after we finished. And then we released it we released a trailer on Valentine's Day 2020 when we were all
Oh
at
my
a conference
God.
in LA. And then it launched in April of 2020, and I'm still super fucking proud of it. And every month it gets like 1,000 downloads still, and
It
people
does.
are listening to the whole thing. Which
Audio
makes me really
fiction
happy.
is such a tale. But remember, the reason we got the money was because Patreon gave us a loan,
Yes.
which
Patreon.
they immediately stopped doing because
Yes.
it fell apart.
Patreon was working on a thing that they I think are trying to do and communicating very badly is making several tools for creators. One of which is, hey, if my job is podcaster, it's hard to convince a bank to give me money because they think I'm full of shit. Podcasters a generation above us have had trouble buying houses and stuff because a bank is like, I know what the fuck you do. But now, you get a 1099 from Patreon that's a little more, understandable. So Patreon basically gave us an advance on our earnings. And so they, gave us some money up front. We used that money to hire actors, pay everybody here, get the microphones we needed, et cetera. And then we paid that back over time from the Patreon earnings.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember they did such a bad job messaging it because everyone thought it was a payday loan. And
Right.
I guess, but you need it.
Yeah.
It's still
I
so
mean, payday
wild.
loans are often predatory, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean inherently the idea of a payday loan is predatory.
Or just
You know
a
what I mean?
loan is a loan, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Especially
we
in
didn't pay
advance.
interest in it, I don't think.
Yeah,
But
an advance is what book publishing is all about. They give you money right now, and then in the future you pay it back.
They should have
via
just
your
called
book
it an advance.
advances.
Why didn't they call it like an advance or something?
know,
Like
'cause
for a
the-
project
Might have been
advance.
It might have been a legal thing or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there may be some kind of characterization, but
now
no,
their
that was-
logo is a blob, so they're definitely doing better than
I
they
was
were.
literally in a bar, and I do live in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, but I was in a bar, and I heard two guys who were next to me saying, "Yeah, it's just a blob now. It sucks." And I turned around and I went, "Are you talking about the Patreon logo?" And he goes, "Oh my God, yes I am." And I was like, "It sucks." And they're like, "Yeah!" It was incredible.
That's
It
the
does-
funniest thing I've ever heard.
It was so funny.
The
I have to look this
logo
up
looks
now.
like for a company that makes only NFT video
I
games
know.
now.
it does kind of
It's
feel
just
like
a
that.
Yeah.
shibbly blob.
Oh, that's
Hey,
just a blob, guys.
It's just a
Yeah. Oh,
blob.
you haven't seen it, Brendan.
Yeah.
No.
Venture capitalism's bad,
No,
guys.
it's
Let's
not.
just say
Blob.
that.
The reason why I want to bring it up is that we were supposed to go to South by Southwest.
Mm-hmm.
And that got shut down. That was the first big event that got shut down because
It
of
was
COVID.
like March 14th or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were supposed to go to the Patreon house, and Amanda was supposed to talk about this there, and then it just fell apart. And then Patreon lost our number.
Yeah. And laid off everybody. Fascinating.
It was just wild. It just feels like I know that we're still reckoning with shutdown and COVID's still here and everything, but man, things were a lot different. Now, especially now that we're coming around to the eve of 2024.
I know, I was thinking about that
that
this
was
morning.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild.
Mortality.
I
man.
remember in 2020. We don't have to talk about this. This is depressing, but I do remember in 2020.
Brandon, that's why it's carpeted.
Conversations.
Lean back. Yeah.
Because Lauren was like, "How long do you think it's going to last?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, historically, pandemics are around 4 years. They take 4 years to sort of get back to normal." And so we're still a year out of it, becoming way actually normalized.
Yeah.
We're getting close.
A little bit faster because Dolly Parton funded all that tech medical research. But yeah, for sure.
Oh, Brandon, speaking of Lauren, I think the question surgeon's other question was, how'd you meet your significant others?
Well, yes, ours is baked in.
Yeah.
Through
wait.
podcasting. I will say, this is one of the little nuggets I like to keep for myself, but I will say the first time I sort of quasi-talked to Lauren was because of Eric at SiriusXM. Eric was running was it a one-shot?
I don't remember what this was.
Oh, okay. Well, you were running some D&D game for a group of people, and Lauren. Oh no!
I remember this.
It was Lauren. Sorry, it was Lauren's D&D game, right?
No, it must have been the thing. I was running the home game that was before Join the Party.
Yeah.
And I wanted someone to voice a dragon, so I got Lauren to do it, and
Yes.
I wanted you to make it sound dragony.
Yes. And
Yes.
so Lauren recorded a thing for Eric, and then I sound designed it, made it sound more dragony, and then that was the first time I interacted with Lauren in any way.
Cute.
There you go.
Hey, Julia, when did we meet?
When did we meet? At a party at Amanda's old apartment. She was doing like a housewarming party.
Oh, it was that?
Yeah.
Oh
Was
my
it the
God.
Coco Vin one?
Yeah,
it
that's
was the
one.
Coca Vino.
Everybody was there.
Can you talk about this? I didn't realize this until later. Apparently, Amanda was a very different person a week before this
Yeah.
party.
So, yeah, Julia, say how you met Jake, and then I'll go back to that.
Oh, Jake and I met in high school as a part of our theater program. I started freshman year, he started junior year, and it was like a magnet program where you also had to do a class as well as like the after school plays and stuff like that. So junior year, Jake with his newly cut hair, it used to be long, then it was short, and frosted tips, walked in, and I was dating someone else at the time. And so all the girls were like gathered around being like, oh my God, don't you
I
think
literally
the new
remember
guy,
this moment.
don't you think the new guy's so cute? I'm like, he's okay, I guess. And then fast forward like 6 months
Yeah.
later, we were dating.
Also, Jake, I have to say this, Jake was a man. And like part of this was we had all known each other in middle school. You had to audition in like the winter of 8th grade to get in at the end of middle school to get into the program for all of high school, secondary school. And so we had all known each other since we were like 12-year-old little shits. And then Jake walks in, a fully formed man. And it was like, I mean, looking back at pictures of him, he looks like an adorable baby. But we had like just meeting someone at also 16 was like, whoa, like you're a person.
He had a chest merkin on and everything.
Basically.
I feel like Jake walked in and like Toxic played. Yeah, exactly.
I literally remember this moment. Like it was yesterday.
Yeah. I remember
That's
where I was
incredible.
sitting in the room.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Had all the other Amandas around me. There's 4 of us. It's a lot.
Wow.
Leanne.
Leanne.
was leading the charge of, oh, isn't he cute?
always.
And I was like,
Always.
It's
It's
like,
girl.
no,
And then-
not at all.
All the other Amandas and Leanne showed up dead the next week. It
We
was
came
weird.
together to become a battle bot.
Amanda swallowed all of them in utero, and now you might be asking, were they all 14? And I said yes. Amanda
Yes,
brought them
yes, they
to the tiny space. Yeah.
But Sneaky Sloths also asked something that I thought was really interesting about like what is something you want to tell people but no one is asking you, which may be interesting. I'll let you guys kind of percolate on that, but I am going to ask you guys again. But I we have some questions later too about like being full-time creators, podcasting full-time, working with our friends, employing our friends and family.
Oh wait, are we still talking about the Coco Vin thing?
That's what I'm getting to.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Thank you. And like when I was, 23 and just out of college, making a life for myself, I was working in finance. I had a shitload of student loans, so I was like, I'll just like do a job I hate, living out a student budget, putting all that money toward my loans, like until I am free of them, because I felt like I couldn't, make those for me. I didn't want to, feel like I was trading off doing something for me and like making less money than I could with the sort of debt hanging over me. And I felt very compartmentalized. Like I was one person to my online friends because I'd been making YouTube videos for 6 or 7 years at that point. And like I had my LiveJournal friends and my Twitter and Tumblr friends. And I loved them. But then I was a totally different person when I was at work. I was a totally different person when hanging out with my family. And then I was trying to like go on dates or like meet new people like to be friends with. And I was just like, I don't know what to tell you. The facts of my life don't add up. Like I tell you I work in finance. I tell you I'm an English major. I tell you I, have little siblings at home that I love. Like all those things felt very, very disingenuous talking about just one of them at a time. And so the party where Eric and Julia met for the first time, I just like, we'd done an episode of Spirits guest recorded about the Golem.
Oh, then I
And-
must have met you then before.
Yes, that was in like June or July. We also met Lauren the same day,
Oh,
terribly
yeah.
hungover at that meetup.
The Wolf 359 meetup.
yes.
Oh my God.
And then like a couple months later, I had a party where I invited like my high school friends, my work friends, my cousins, my YouTube friends, Julia, who transcended categories, and, whatever, a couple people I knew from school, Eric included. And for the first time, I was just like, I'm just going to make them all meet. I'm just going to put them all together. I'm going to make this Julia Child's recipe. I was recently not vegan, and the first thing I ever cooked that wasn't vegan was coq au vin. It was
Wild.
very exciting. And
was
just like
really good.
crammed everyone into my, little apartment where like my cousins and my sibling and, these guys and a couple internet friends were all meeting. And it was wild because I wanted to be one me in all the settings I was in.
When was this? Do you
This
remember?
was probably November of 2020. No, of 2016.
Right, because here's the thing. I also was having the worst stretch of my life at that time because at that time I had just gotten this new job where I was at SiriusXM. I got a concussion because I was in a taxi that got rear-ended and my head slammed against the plastic division.
Right.
And then I got broken up with on Halloween. And then
Then I got you super drunk at a happy hour.
no, I wasn't allowed to drink because I was concussed.
Oh, right.
Right.
That was
Later,
that
we
was
got drunk at
later.
the happy
That was
hour.
You
later.
were super drunk.
That was
Right.
later. And then Trump got elected.
Yeah.
And then because I was newly broken up with and had this new job, and I was just like, didn't know how to deal with it at
It was
all.
like saying yes to shit that gave you away.
So yeah, I was just totally out of it, which is why I went to
Yeah.
the party in the first place.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is that where I met you, Julia?
Probably.
Probably.
I feel like I met you at the bar, but maybe I made that up.
We might have
Oh,
met
I
before
also
that.
remember you guys came to the Harold, which used to be our
Right.
bar, which might have been the first time I met Brandon.
Right. Because that was close to all of us because where
Yeah.
we live, SiriusXM's offices were above Penn Station, which is on 8th
Right.
Avenue. And the Herald was on 6th Avenue in the park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, no.
Amanda.
Rip to a real one.
Yeah. That was
Um,
wild.
But yeah, I think
It's still there. We just don't go anymore.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, our bartender left, and so that
Yes,
was a
yes.
big difference. We wouldn't otherwise.
They
go.
entered in so many happy hour drinks after happy hour for us, man.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
text him before 6 p.m. He'd put 20 happy hour drinks into the computer and then just delete them later if we didn't use them.
Yep.
Rip to a
It was
real
the
one.
best.
I gave him my old mattress when I upgraded to a queen bed.
Hell yeah.
Matt, you're great.
Yeah, and then he had a bad breakup with someone
With your coworker's friend.
with our
Who he was
coworker's
dating.
friend. Yeah, and we're like,
Yeah.
oh, Matt, you've crossed the dividing line. Like, we
Yeah.
can't hang out with
Yeah.
you now. This is too
Sorry,
weird.
bud.
It felt like a sitcom. It was great.
Yeah.
But no, that's something that I think it's a lot harder to be your whole self everywhere and to blur those lines and to get those things close. And certainly I sometimes fantasize about the kind of job where I would turn on my BlackBerry and be accessible, and then I was an absolute fucking enigma when I wasn't there. And people would probably literally not recognize me outside of my suit because I'd cover up my tattoos, etc. But that separation is takes less work, but it's also less rewarding for me.
Did you wear suits every day?
Mhm.
Oh boy, I didn't even think about that before.
Yeah,
Finance,
peplum
baby.
shirts,
Oh,
skirts,
wild.
tights,
Oof.
flats.
I mean, you
because
were
I'm
at
too tall.
real ass finance job. I think that's another thing I think people don't know. You were at if you heard the name of a bank, that's where Amanda worked.
Yeah, I worked in equity research at JP Morgan Chase.
Wild.
In the literal shell of Bear Stearns, which was the investment bank that went under that started the financial crisis. JP Morgan was like, okay, we'll buy you because the government's making us, and also here is a building. And I worked in that building. Anyway,
Wow.
what's something you want to tell people but no one is asking you? Anyone?
I don't know if that's I don't know. I feel like my brain doesn't work that way where I'm
You
it's
couldn't
either
recall
I'm
when something
thinking,
comes up.
right. It's I'm thinking about that thing when I'm thinking about it, not it's not lingering in the back of my brain being I need to tell the people, but no one's asking. You know?
That's fair.
Yeah.
Is there something, if someone asked you about it, you'd be like, oh, thank God, and be excited to talk about it?
Again, I don't think so. Or at least I can't think of what that would be until someone triggers my trap card. You know what I mean?
It's Yu-Gi-Oh for Julia.
Yeah.
Magical hats. The thing that I want to say is something that I think I've now pushed to be saying, especially this year, just like about how I feel about it. It's all work stuff. Like it's like actual play and podcasting stuff. Like the thing that I think about on a regular basis is like the actual play podcast genre was kicked off by the fact that Griffin McElroy got the 5th edition rules early because he was a games journalist. I think about that a lot. And how like, you know, looking out really far, like journalism is important, especially in these niche media, even if it's that eventually turns into content. I mean, especially now in the line between content creator and journalist are so blurred, and like the personality currency that like you need to like a person to like their article now, which I think is really wild. And the number of like our journalists who like do content now, I mean, that makes me feel a type of way, but still, yeah, I think about that a lot. But I think I say that like once a week. Too.
Fair.
For me, I think the thing that I am always like brimming to talk about, but I never do because I know I'll either be an accidental jerk or sound like an asshole, is like, I don't think people understand how much food and cooking are part of my existence. Yeah. Like, I like 3 things. It's like music, 2 things. It's 3 things, maybe. Music, Lauren, and cooking.
Fair.
Which is the ambiguous thing.
Yeah.
Well, no,
I just didn't. Yeah.
You
don't know. You don't have to include Lauren.
No.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah,
we get it. You
but
know.
like, I spend my money on music, tech, and food things.
Yeah.
So like, I have a huge bar. I've spent thousands of dollars on my cookware and stuff like that. I literally read cookbooks for fun. I've read multiple food encyclopedias. Like, I am. If it weren't such a shitty job, I'd be working in a restaurant tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's I am very not boastful generally, but I am here to say that I am a very good cook.
Yeah.
True.
Good.
True. Is Sola's El Whaley's book out yet?
Mm-hmm.
It is? Is it good?
Yeah.
I have not picked it up because it is aimed towards a beginner.
Oh.
But it looks good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
The vibe looks good.
Yeah. I can never tell. Like, she's just always everywhere all the time, regardless of what she's doing. Like, again, the best person possible. Man, yeah. Remember when we were brimming, speaking of Sola, remember when we were brimming to talk about Bon Appetit's destruction?
Oh my God, yeah.
I feel like it's all I wanted to talk about.
We watched it in slow motion for like a year.
Yeah, like it was Bon Appetit, the content. All 4 of us were super into it, weren't we?
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. It was like the content, then it was the blow up, then it was the reply all, and then it was the Gimlet study, and then it was the blow up of Gimlet. Like that was
it truly
wild.
just makes me sad to think about. I hate like the idea of like things that I really like being ruined, and then like the foul taste of that, but then also remembering how much I used to like it.
Yeah.
Like that's like something that I fucking hate so much. So much. I look at things that I really loved and then they're ruined for me now, and I'm like,
Do you feel like you wasted your time, or it's more like mourning the uncomplicated way?
Mourning the uncomplicated feelings about that, and like something that used to bring me joy, and now like I look at it and I feel like guilt or anxiety, you know?
I feel that 100%. I feel that way about Brad. When Sola said like, "Oh,
Brad
we're
Leone, former host on Bon Appetit.
Yeah, we're just looking at another like goofy tall white man like goofing around like we're doing here in 2018." I was like, "Fuck, you're right. I'm no longer allowed to enjoy this like complicatedly." Like,
I don't think he left, right? I think
No, he's still there.
No,
He's still doing there.
Yeah. He had an event at Meat Hook, a butcher in our neighborhood, the other day, and I was like, the fuck's this line for? And it was for that.
Yeah. He's still, and like all that stuff is still super popular.
Yeah.
That's what's wild about a lot of this stuff. It's like it's still super popular. It's just like not uncomplicated, like Julia said. If you don't know what we're talking about, go look it up. Just look up Bon
There's some
Appetit
good
Gimlet.
articles.
Just
Yeah.
go look that up. It's not fun enough to rehash.
No.
Yeah.
But
Wait, I want to extend this.
Oh, sure.
The thing that I think I missed the most is that era of Polygon. The one where when we were working,
Yeah.
Brandon, where it's like when the McElroys were still involved, and this was even before Brian David Gilbert and Jenna Stieber were there.
Yeah.
Or
I
like,
remember when they joined.
yeah, when they joined, and just like Awful Squad and all those videos. They were coming. Griffin's Nuzlocke were coming out when we didn't know Nick Robinson was a piece of shit. Like all this stuff, that was perfect. It was the only thing that I think kept me sane during that time we were working at SiriusXM.
Yeah.
Totally.
Now we work with Jenna because she's great, but also it's like, those things disappear so quickly, and then you got to build your own thing.
That may be a topic segueing into something that Sarah Purple People Eater asked, which was what, if anything, you either regret about choosing to do podcasting full time, or made Silverleaf built on that to ask if there's anything we miss about previous jobs.
Well, Amanda, I also want to know, was there anything that you don't get asked? Did you answer?
Oh, yeah.
I kind of segued into that by saying, like, I think a lot about the commodification of interests and of like personality as your job, and like like before I did this full time, I worked in finance. I was like a champion of a day job. I still am. I think like if you have a day job you don't give a shit about, and you can spend the rest of your time doing things that benefit you, that's great. I also grew up in the generation of do what you love, you won't work a day in your life. That's not true at all. But there is a lot of space in the middle, and I feel like I am in a good place. I have lived both extremes to like counsel people or talk about like the very real pros and cons that exist in both, completely separating yourself from your work and integrating those two closer.
Love that.
Yeah, that's real.
So yeah, anything that anyone regrets about podcasting full time or missing about previous jobs? I will say all of us wanted to podcast full time and like tried really hard to make it happen, and left shit jobs or okay jobs to do this instead.
But Julia was the only one that worked for a front of a business, and that was interesting.
We didn't work for any MLMs like Julia did.
Yeah. I think the only thing that like nowadays I think about, and it's not even like a regret in choosing podcasting full time, but like podcasting obviously is a very creative, like it's a creative position that you have to do. And so I think I sometimes miss that I put so much creative effort into the thing that is my literal job.
Yeah.
And I miss the like little side projects that I don't get paid for. Like the creative energy that I could put towards those when I was working my shitty 9-to-5 and I was looking for the creative outlet, Yeah.
That is the advice I give a lot of younger people, is like, just get a job. And like sometimes having a job versus like having 80 hours a week to do nothing except for your creative project, sometimes having that 9-to-5 does actually make you more creative.
Yeah.
Like
Cece's partner works in medical billing, and she's like, yeah, it's terrible. And I do it from my house, which I love, with my cat, who I love, and then I log the fuck off. And, I do everything else.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it might be different as like the world continues. It gets more dystopian. Like we didn't have like camera trackers that made sure we were not like we could pee three minutes every time. Man, I did so little work at SiriusXM there at the end.
Never mind. I was going to make a joke, but I won't make it. Never mind.
No, it's fine.
Many guys. I wrote a script that made Archive of Our Own look like Reddit. Or sorry, that made Reddit look like Bloomberg. I didn't read Archive of Our Own on the JP Morgan computers, but I had Reddit look like Bloomberg so that I could read it at my desk. And I just went deep into every subreddit.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I think I wrote a bunch of scripts I wrote a bunch of stuff. I definitely planned join the party sessions when I was at that job. Definitely. So you got to do that on that time if you're not being tracked.
Wage theft. We love it.
Yeah. Certainly do the wage theft. The thing that I've been thinking about the most, I think, in regards to this, to the thing that Julia just said, is like, so I went to Big Bad Con, and like Jasper described this to me as like, oh, this is kind of like a trade show for actual play. And I'm like, what does that mean? What it really means is that 70% of the people there want to be talent on actual play media. And I'm like, oh my God. like they, which ostensibly means they want to be voice actors. Like that's the next general thing. It's like you want to be on streams, and this is everyone. This is all the way to the top. These are people on Dimension 20. They want to be full-time working actors. That's what they want to be. Or are full-time working actors. And like having a skill set that's something else other than literally pulling things out of your brain, I think is worthwhile, so you can do those things. Instead of just like, coming up with something or planning a podcast or recording the podcast or doing it. I'm also not saying that like editing, the ephemeral thing that is post-production of podcasting is, I think, somewhere in the middle from what you two have described it to me. And for my time doing it, it's like you turn your brain off, but it is a thing, and you're interacting with the thing or whatever.
Different creativity.
But certainly, so it's like it's a little bit different. But having any skills in an artistic medium that is something else, I think, kind of saves and protects your art. And then you're someone who has skills, and then you aren't just capital T talent, which means you get treated like a little baby. And I think that some people want to be treated like a little baby, but I'd rather be a person.
I would sometimes like to be treated like a little baby.
Oh, yes, sometimes, but not like that's my only thing in professional life.
Yeah.
There's just not a lot of room anymore in entertainment for people who are just talent either. Like,
exactly.
You gotta have something else.
That's why I was like, oh, children, folks, I'm so sorry.
We rented the studio the other day to someone who came in. She's like, oh, hey, my name's, whatever. I'm the showrunner of this podcast. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, fair enough. And I know we've talked about this for years and years. Like, that's, that the apparatus and infrastructure of TV and film, I think, describe all of the work that goes into it a lot better than like, oh yeah, just like some schmoes making like a show in, my room. It's a lot more than that. And everyone here knows that. But I don't think others do. If I move on too quickly, by the way, feel free to jump back in and redirect.
No, go for it.
But another question I really loved, this one was from Lyle. I will get to Lyle's. But first, from Mage Silverleaf, how has your view of your listeners changed as you've grown as podcasters? Which I thought was a fascinating question. And one thing that I wanted to start with is you guys are really smart. You guys sniff out bullshit. Like the Bon Appetit thing is a good reminder of all of us when we were starting our podcast, we started from a place of, okay, we love these shows and what do we want to borrow? What do we want to not do? What do we like about it? What do we want to change? And everyone is like that to a certain extent, at least among our listeners that we've, curated. I think we now have professional skills to make those determinations. But early on, we were just tuned in listeners and had valid opinions that were worth listening to about what the content is, how it feels when you miss a day, when running repeats all the time, when the ads get annoying.
Oh my God.
There's so much that you guys notice that I think a lot of people who make media, Big Brother's a good example, which I always talk about. Big Brother, literally, they just have a binder and they just do the same show every year with new people. And they're clearly eat this dog shit, pigs. Enjoy. They have
Marvel.
They have contempt for their audience.
Marvel's TV strategy was here's the slop. Here it is. Here's the slop.
And you can just do it again and again, manufacturing new backpacks in a new color, for the new season or whatever. And that sucks, and we can tell, we can sense it, we know. And so over time, I have just gotten more and more respect and awe for the fact that people choose to spend time with us, and more than that, when they have money to spare, spend money with us, and say no, I want to dedicate several hours of my finite human life to hanging out with these people, listening to their stuff, giving them feedback, whatever it is. And that's not I've deepened in my appreciation of our audience and respect their opinions and insights more and more.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I was going to say, though, I don't have any regrets, but I do have a fear that we have all damned ourselves by becoming experts in podcasting.
It's transferable skill set. It's transferable. I promise.
Yeah.
The thing that I don't think I've learned or viewed our audience any differently, but I did. This is just more of a funny thing. I was talking to Lauren the other day about that, and for some reason I forget why. But the thing I always forget and then am suddenly slammed into remembering is that a large portion of our audience is much younger than us.
Yeah.
And some of them are teens, and I'm like, why are you listening to this bullshit? And also, don't listen to me say fuck all the time. Be better.
They're going to listen to Chapo Trap House. They don't listen to you. It's one or the other.
Would you rather they listen to Joe Rogan, Brandon?
Certainly not.
No, that's true. But yeah, that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, someone wrote into Spirits the other day and said, yeah, my house is pretty old. It was built in 1999. And we went, oh no.
Yeah.
They can't jump scare us like that. It's just not fair.
Julia, do you have something?
No, not really.
All right.
I make a show that I research, talking specifically about spirits, I research stuff that I find interesting and that I think sharing with Amanda would be amusing and that she would enjoy. And that's the podcast we make.
Yeah.
For Join the Party, I've been saying this out loud, so this isn't like a jump scare to any of you. But man, I've been saying like, hey, if you're toxic, come listen to Join the Party. Like, our listeners are so kind and sweet, and they don't go on social media. They only text each other. And you guys are all on Discord. If y'all are recommending Join the Party in Discords, Godspeed. But it's like, y'all are so sweet. So I've been joking lately. I'm like, hey, toxic people. Hey, can you guys all go on Reddit and be super toxic
Be
and
really
tell
loud
people
on Reddit.
and tell people that only if you listen to Join the Party, only that's valid? If you could start doing that, that would be super great.
You're
I'd
not
love
really a
that.
fan of TTRPGs until you've mainlined all of Join the Party.
Yeah, unless you understand how many times they've used salmon in all of the different campaigns, like, don't fucking talk to me.
True.
It's
True
very
fact.
good.
I am curious. I don't have any thoughts or like answers to this, but being both a consumer and a creator, and to what you just said, Eric, of like it is curious to me, and we'll never be able to know because we're in it. But like, what is it about our audience that enjoys listening and watching us, who in our eyes are just like, or at least for me, I'm like, just a normal dude who's like mediocrely talented, versus us who see like, I don't know, Bernley Mulligan or whatever it is, who's like incredibly talented. And like, of course I'm going to watch Bernley Mulligan, but I'm sure Bernley Mulligan feels the same way. He's like, why are you watching this schmuck?
Yeah.
I don't know. I would love to go into y'all's brains and just pick out what you enjoy,
I think there's also a certain level of like right place, right time for podcasts and the people that we are attracted to, like not in like, a romantic or a sexual sense, but just like are attracted to in terms of like, this is someone that I want to watch do things
Find
or listen
compelling.
to do
Yeah.
things. Yeah, find compelling.
Yeah.
Like if you
exactly.
searched mythology in 2016, spirits came up. We were Join the Party was one of like 10 TTRPG shows that were publishing consistently in 2017,
And
so
we're
on
an
some lists.
absolute garbage.
We put a lot of effort into making it good, but like at the same time, it's a lot harder now than it was then. Even though in 2016 I felt like I'd missed the boat.
Yeah. It's funny, like, I was looking up the Flophouse for something, and that show started in 2007.
Dude, I know you don't listen to Max Fun shows anymore, but they do commercials after their ads, right? Like they do one commercial for
Oh, no,
Max
we
Fun
know
show.
about the commercials.
Oh, yeah.
We know. We know.
Have you heard about the Flophouse ones recently? It's so funny because they're
I have
all
not.
they do is sit there and be like, "Hey, we've heard your complaints about this 15-year-old show, and we're gonna comment on them." They're like, "We know in the beginning we're a little bit mean to Dave. I promise we stopped doing that later."
Okay, that's pretty good.
Again,
actually
that's
good.
what I'm saying, Brandon, where it's a very
So
like
funny.
right time, right place.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you get attached to certain people and
Yeah.
hosts and stuff like that. And it doesn't matter like whether or not you like truly think they're talented or anything like that. It's just like this person is there for when I needed that particular brand of
True.
comedy or insight or whatever.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like musicians, like writers, they will never know and couldn't have possibly intended that it would resonate with me at that time for that reason. And I'm really grateful that people, tried it and like trust us to, lull them to sleep or like spend time with them when they're exercising or like during labor or like
Oh, yeah,
all
that's
kinds of
true.
things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That kid's like 4 now, by the
I
way.
know, that's
know,
wild. I
know.
can't believe that.
Can't talk about that.
Also, I'm the best DM in podcasting, so I think I'm very talented. That's why people
I
listen
think
to
you're
Join the
very
Party.
talented and compelling, Brandon, as well.
Yeah. Do we all want to go around and say how talented we think we are on a scale of 1 to 10?
Well,
No.
well. Glass Cat Owl wanted us to rate the members of the podcast from goodiest 2 shoes to least goody 2 shoes.
I thought this question was really fun.
Take it away, Brandon.
I don't know if I have an answer, but
First thought, best thought. Go.
best thought is I'm goody as 2 shoes, then Amanda, then actually no, I take that back. Me, Julia, Eric, Amanda. I think Amanda's the worst actually because not
I
because
love
you're
crimes.
like you're a psychopath or something, but because the amount of flippancy with which you break very, very small rules
True.
is insane to me. The way you just like so casually, like without even like, I can't bring a thing of candy into the movie theater without feeling shame and guilt.
Yeah.
And you're just like, Oh yeah, I brought my fucking whole bar from home into the movie theater.
We
It was
did
fun.
a-
I brought like a fucking 12-foot hoagie. It was great.
On one Valentine's Day, and I was complicit. I was involved. I will say we saw Lady Bird in theaters, and we brought an entire charcuterie plate into this.
That is
Correct.
with board,
insane
with
to me.
board, yeah.
With the board.
I realized recently that I'm the
yes.
conservative one in our relationship. I realized that recently. I can't believe that.
Yeah.
Here's something here. Okay, let's get really fucking personal for a second. I think other people think that I am I make a lot of trouble. I think a lot of do. A lot of people in my family and Amanda's family and maybe some other people who at our various jobs and such think I make a lot of trouble. I don't. I go home and I play video games just because like
That's true.
just because like I go home and play video games and like think about sports and then go out with my friends
And eat sandwiches.
and I go find a sandwich I want. I think that the people think I'm such like a malcontent, and I think that maybe I am in these terrible situations I'm put in. But I think that personally on the inside, I just don't follow it's like the Matrix was revealed to me at some point where it's like, oh, actually institutions only benefit the people who are directly at the top of those institutions and the people who look the most like them in progeny after that. And then I can tell them to fuck off. But it's like, ordinarily, I do the best for everyone, and I'm like community organizer. I'm like helping everything happen.
You don't want to let injustice rest. You want to protect people and make sure they get what they want.
So in the things that I've dealt with, because like when someone's mean to me, I say, fuck off, you can't treat me like that. People think I'm a real dick in that way.
You're not looking for a fight. I am a lot of the time.
That's true.
I haven't tapped into that, but I'm slowly.
It's there.
unfurling
It's
it.
certainly there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, how would y'all rank us?
I think what Brandon said, I think your ranking actually was correct. I might put myself ahead of Amanda necessarily, but I also, Julia's out there like Billy Joel with the greasers and white walled tires out on Long Island. So I don't know.
You know what the thing is? I think that maybe this doesn't come across to a lot of people. I am very much a people pleaser.
Yeah.
And so I don't like when people are mad at me. And so I follow rules because I don't like when people are mad at me.
Yeah,
But
if
I
there's
also
a chance someone would notice, I'm the goodiest two shoes you'll ever meet.
Yes. However, though, like I also, I think similarly to Eric, and I was going to say this before, but I am bad at keeping quiet when I see there is some sort of injustice happening.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so when I get mad, a lot of it, I call it my righteous fury because I'm like, I know I'm mad for a reason and I'm not going to shut the fuck up about it because this is unacceptable. It doesn't work as much for me for like institutions and stuff like that, which is, my own problem that I have to deal with. But for individual people, if they do something, I will say, fuck you. And usually not even to me. It's just like a thing in general, you know?
Mm-hmm. Do you think do you get away with it?
I don't know if I don't know how to answer that.
Or is it like,
question.
how acceptable on a scale of 1 to 10 is that? Because I've gotten
wonder-
a ton of pushback on that. Perpetually.
Well, I wonder if it's like the kinds of things that y'all attack or not.
No,
Like,
I
attacks are
think
hard, obviously, but-
I think Julie and I are saying the same thing. That's why I want to know.
Eric, my problem is though, like, I'm bad at defending myself.
Yeah.
But if someone says something like homophobic or transphobic in front of me, all of a sudden that's when my fucking teeth come out. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, it's less about like you're treating me poorly. It's more like you can't fucking say that because that's not okay to say.
Yeah, like one time a guy was creeping on a woman at a bar, and Julie and I were like, "What the fuck are you doing talking to her like that?" And the guy was like, "Well," and so it's easy when it's like multiple people when it's like a thing where you can say like that's not right to do to someone else.
Yeah.
I do think people think that it's selfish or something to do it for yourself, and to say like I deserve better than this, or the thing you did hurt me, then people think like, oh, why are you causing a problem? Not, oh shit, maybe you're right. Or, hey, I disagree, but like, I appreciate you bringing it up.
Yeah. I mean, the one, I guess the most acceptable righteous fury is the thing you're saying, Julia, which is pushing back against obvious slurs, bad behavior, etc.
Which I think can be like a starting place, and like, you can feel validated by others and then move into things that maybe people don't back you up on as much. It's like it can be like a training wheels.
Yeah. Because like, I don't get a lot of opportunities to be like, hey, stop being racist. It's more like, hey, stop not considering us in your actions and planning for this particular holiday. And then a lot of people, my uncle threatened to fight me once. That happened because I told him because he misconstrued when we were in a fight. An argument, he can misconstrue that I thought that he wasn't
like a
that
dinner
smart.
Table argument.
He wasn't that smart, even though he went to Yale. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and then my mom, and then I had to call him. My 70-year-old uncle. I had to call him to apologize.
Interesting.
Because my mom told me I had to do that.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
My mom's told me to apologize to many family members, and I simply don't do it.
Oh yeah.
You're better at saying, I don't think I need to do that than I am. That's something I'm still working on.
It's so funny to me because I am a Texas transplant. I'm a Southern transplant, and most of my people in my life are now Northerners.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing that I still to this day have trouble with, and it's like a deep affront, even though I know it's not a deep affront, is the absolute just like like not courage, but like, Amanda, you were the first one to do this, and then I realized it was a real thing. But the fact that Amanda or any other, like Lauren does this too, like will tell you to leave their home at some point because it's too late or like it's getting late. I will never, ever, ever tell someone to leave my house. They could stay here. If it's like 4 a.m. and they're still here, I'll be like, do you want to sleep over? Like, it's perfect.
Brandon,
day,
I truly wish that I also had that ability that Amanda and Lauren apparently have. If I could tell my mother-in-law, hey, it's late, you've been here 4 hours, and you said you were coming over for one drink, if I could send her home, I would. Meanwhile, this woman can sit on my couch and then say, I'm not enjoying myself anymore, I'm going home. A phrase she literally said to me 2 weeks ago.
Julia, that's not normal. That's
No,
not
that's
okay.
messed up. That's messed up.
up.
That's bad. That's bad.
I wish I could say that to her, though.
She
I
is
wish
not-
I could be
she's
like,
not
I don't want to
girl
watch
bossing.
your home videos anymore. I'm not enjoying myself. I'm going home. But I can't.
You have to go over to her place and then
Yes.
say that.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I can't say that to her, but she's allowed to say that to me. It's crazy.
Fucked up, dude.
The fact that
I can imagine it happening. That's what happens.
it's the thing that I do that no one understands in my life is that if I'm here or if they're at my house or whatever and it's late, I'll go, well, and hit my knee. And then no one understands what that means.
See, I know what that means,
I know.
Brandon. I know what
But it's
that
because
means.
we've met Midwesterners.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why. I think that's a Midwestern thing that traveled down the center of the country to Texas.
Yeah.
Well, I'm supposed to say, well, hit my knee. And then you're saying, oh, it's so late, I should go. And then I'm supposed to say, no, you stay as much as you
Yeah.
want.
No,
and then
no,
it's
no,
all
no.
fine.
No.
Mine is, I do big yawn.
Big
Out loud,
yawn
be like,
works too, yeah.
Start doing the dishes, but we all just like doing dishes too, so that
Yeah,
that
that's
doesn't really
true,
count.
Jake does dishes right after dinner, though,
Yeah.
and he fully intends everyone to stay for another couple hours.
That's
so
true.
like,
Yeah,
that's not
very
a good
true.
indication.
Classic Jake. Classic.
I want to be clear, it's not wrong. It's actually good that people kick people out of their houses.
Yeah.
It's just so strange to me.
No.
No, it's very true, and I know like even asking for the bill at a table in Europe, where I'm like, oh, they want me to leave, right? They're like, whatever, I don't give a shit unless you ask me for it. I'm like, what? Like, so-
And that's because Mussolini told the waiters
That's true.
that all people within the protectorate of the fatherland,
Mhm.
they were allowed to stay however long they wanted.
it's very true.
And that's a fact.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that was from the beginning of the episode.
It's really good. I appreciate that callback.
Good
very
circle
much.
round.
We got so many good questions from so many good people. Dominique asked super thoughtful questions of each of us, which I will, again, absolutely save all of these questions. So don't stress, folks, if we didn't get to yours. Lyle asked a question that I want to end on, which is how you balance making more of our lives into content, being cool, being friends with each other, and keeping bits for yourselves, not creating an environment that makes people resentful or unhealthy.
I hate Julia, and I'm really covering it up.
That makes sense. That checks out.
Yeah.
No one can hate Julia.
Except for
Is
me.
it because I stole your tag team belt?
Yeah, it's because you stole my tag team belt. How dare you?
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If you guys ask us two probing questions we don't want to answer, I will just joke on you until you were like, oh, I'm not going to answer it anymore.
We're trying every day, and it's hard, and we're figuring it out.
Yeah.
Like that's my honest answer. Is Julia's and my friendship and relationship is different now than it was 8 years ago. I would argue it's more precious to me because we've had to put more, work and thought and planning into it, and means more. We've shown up for each other in bigger and better ways. Same with Eric, same with Brandon. And, as you like, we try to use all the parts of like running a business that makes sense, and having like meetings and talking about culture and having agendas and taking notes and being like, okay, we're going to talk about this thorny topic or this big topic at this time. And also, texting about things that are not work separately to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also like, and I'm looking at like the text of Lyle's question.
Yes.
I don't really share anything that I wouldn't share if I wasn't a podcaster.
Yeah.
And like my rule of thumb is also like, I wouldn't share anything like on a podcast that I wouldn't say like somewhat drunk at a bar to someone that I like have met a couple times.
Yeah, no, that's a really good barometer. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's why Julia is always 2 drinks in every time she podcasts.
I mean, that's literally the premise.
That makes it seem like I
That's how
have a
we
problem
started.
because I podcast pretty much every day.
fair. So
During the day, no less.
that's interesting. Honestly, with Julia, I need to remember that so that I share more. From going back to my answer at the beginning of the thing, like I do need to share more. So it's like I'm actually feel like for some of the stuff that I do, like the creative thing stands in front of what we share.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: Lyle said, a friend shaped, and also like keeping bits for yourself and stuff. I think more you see with successful podcasts. I rail about this a lot, but a lot of successful people on the internet like get resentful of their audience. Man, the number of times where people call out audiences on the microphone saying like, hey, I have to deal with the fact when you guys do this and do that. Or like, I remember Brian.
We're going to get comments about ABM.
We're going to get comments about this. Or Brian David Gilbert like had said explicitly he wants to fucking leave the internet and like be a TV writer because he hates it and wants to stop feeding the machine. And like I understand that existential feeling, but like there are people on the other side. You guys are there. And I think that's what at least my job as head of creative, like something I think about a lot is like we need to respect your time as much as you respect our time. That's how this comes out, and why all multitude podcasts we try not to skip. We try not to put on I don't think we've ever the four of us, I don't think we've ever done a rerun.
Yeah.
Like we'll skip if we need to, but we've never done a rerun. And just like that's the mutual respect is like you guys get what we give you and it's as high quality as possible, and then we keep some stuff for ourselves because it's not the thing we give you.
Yeah, I think we're lucky in how good our audience is too. But yeah,
This is exceptional that this is the audience we can talk to. We also don't say things to each other in public or on a microphone that we haven't said privately or wouldn't say privately.
Man.
Like we, if we have a problem with something, we're not going to be like, wow, Julia, like weird, blah, blah, blah. We afterward, I'll be like, hey, can I say something, about like how this made me feel? Or I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, like Eric, like didn't do the dishes last night. And like say that on a podcast because that would suck and also is uncomfortable. And I don't want I'm getting uncomfortable mocking the thing that I don't do. That's how like frustrating and claustrophobic it feels.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that like the fact that Lyle asked this question in the way that Lyle did is like confirming to us that we are good at performing ourselves. Because like the fact that you don't realize that we have like 60, 70, 80, 90% of us, our lives still off camera, for lack of a better word, means like we're doing a good job of showcasing that we're open people. But like, of course, there's tons of things that you don't know about us or don't see about us or in our personal lives. Like you don't see, I don't know, when
you restore your guitars. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's also why we stopped streaming a little bit, like Amanda and I. Like House Breakfast was fun because everyone needed a new outlet during COVID, but like
we streamed on Twitch during COVID, like playing video games, GameCube games, computer games.
I think I kind of took back video games just for me,
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is great.
I'm never going to do any content about romance novels because like I need that for me.
Yeah, totally.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
But Amanda, consider we started a romance novel podcast. Would that be good? Would people listen to it?
People wouldn't listen. No, people wouldn't listen to it.
No, people wouldn't listen to it. No.
And then I want to close with one of the great questions, unless anyone has something else to add.
Yeah, hey,
Yeah.
if you're toxic, come listen to Join the Party.
If you're loud and influential, especially online.
If you're
listen
loud
to Join the Party.
on Reddit and TikTok, please, if you're toxic on TikTok, please listen to Join the Party.
Hey, if you're Joe Rogan and you listen to Join the Party and you're not talking about us, fuck you.
Yeah.
Yep,
I mean, also just already
Yeah.
fuck you.
Yeah.
exactly.
No,
Finally,
Julia, come on, we gotta court him.
Yeah.
Gotta court
I
him.
don't care. I'm not
one
courting
of Lada's great questions. If you were stranded on a desert island, which of your Join the Party co-hosts would you bring with you?
Brandon.
Oh.
He's watched so many of those survival videos on Delta flights. Why would you not bring him? He knows how to get rescued.
I'm astonished.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
We talked about it so many times.
Brandon put
for
it.
company, not Brandon, but for survival, Brandon.
Brandon put it in he put it into this campaign. He's
Yeah.
like, yeah, Umbi also was on a flight and watched the documentary.
Learned that you have to go downward
You go in a
spiral to
spiral,
find
right.
someone
True,
in
we
the
learned
water.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, you weren't
Guys.
there for that. Julie and
I
I
heard that
had to
later,
get
yeah.
No, you've
Brandon.
I've watched. I tell myself that I rewatch that because every time I watch it, I don't get to finish it because of the flight length. But I've rewatched it like 6 times.
Yeah.
like
I think you know.
I
it,
think
yeah.
there's some anxiety there that I need to work out.
That's fair. I mean, on a plane, that makes sense.
All I'm saying is I read the Swiss Family Robinson a lot when I was a kid, and
Yeah.
I have some thoughts.
If I didn't choose my wife,
Yeah, I mean, that's the answer.
I feel like I do.
No, that's the answer.
I have to choose. I would have to choose Amanda. But then
Brandon, which
choose
one of
all-
us would you pick?
but
Can I choose all 3 of you?
No,
No.
one.
You can't.
No.
No,
don't know.
Brandon. Hey, let's ask Brandon this question every conversation pit.
Okay.
Because he'll forget we keep asking it,
That's
and then
true,
we'll
yeah.
see if he'll actually answer it.
That's true.
Make that one a specifically Brandon question, please.
Yeah, make it
Great,
until
thank you,
Brandon
thank you,
answers
thank
it. It comes up every single time.
Yep, done.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Done.
See, this is why I'm talented. I turn Brandon's insecurities into bits.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Fabulous. Well, folks, this has been the Conversation Pit. Thank you all in the audience for your excellent questions, for supporting us on Patreon, allowing us to do this and make this show and make a living doing this. It is because of your support directly, and we don't take that for granted.
Yeah. Can we talk about the cadence? I know we're trying to wrap up, but can we talk
Yeah.
about the cadence?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna just do this every once in a while. Maybe probably once a month. Did we talk to Julia? Did you?
That means it's every other party planning.
Oh,
Maybe we'll
no,
do
like-
every 2 months.
Yeah.
Third,
I forgot
fourth.
we
Yeah.
did that. Yeah. The
Yeah.
thing is that's important is that we're doing a main feed party planning. We're doing a main feed conversation pit in the time around Crimbus.
Crimbus.
So
Yeah.
if you like this, get ready for it to be on the main feed, and then everyone go, "Oh my god, it was so good!" Be toxic about it.
Yeah.
Everybody you're gonna get like a bunch of these. You're gonna get the main feed one, and then probably like another one around Crimbus time.
Yeah.
Can we start a new holiday that's Umbi themed? That's Crumbus?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Umbus.
The Umbus.
Yeah.
Everyone
Crumbus.
everyone put a pawpaw fruit on your Christmas tree this year. Thank you. Send me photos. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool.
I loved it when Lou Bega was doing Mambo number 5, and then he was like, the Umbus, and he went, "Burr, burr, 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 burr." I smell like green peppers. Burr, 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 burr.
Cool. Well, thank you again for joining us in the Conversation Pit, which is the avocado pit of our hearts.
Wow.
Get it? Avocado green. It's a callback.
Oh.
I'm workshopping the ending of the Conversation Pit, so if anybody else has thoughts, please do. My other one was going to be shag carpeting is impossible to vacuum, but that's more of a jump scare for those of you who do live in homes with shag carpeting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then you get worried about
I mean-
peeing on it.
Yeah.
I suggested a key party earlier, and everyone looked at me. So
Yeah, I was also
No.
thinking like, okay, here's a bowl for your keys, but since 2 of us are married, the rest of you are not, so.
I think at a different point, it was actually Julie and I were married. I think I made that joke at some point. I was Jake.
I think so.
Yeah.
yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, thanks everybody. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.